Hello everyone, welcome to StraightA. Dawson here, back with another video. Here today we are starting the draft analysis videos for all of the different cardinal directions of north, south, east, and west. Not in the order, I'm going to do it in whatever order I feel like. But similar to the free agency guide, I'm going to be giving a grade to these teams based on how I think they performed in a draft. And it could be in multiple different things, how well the quality of the picks they had, how many picks they had, stuff like that, good value, stuff like that. Did they fit the positional needs they needed to do really well, etc, etc. We'll talk more about it here in a second. Before we get started, please leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and comment for any suggestions for the channel in the future below. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. How this will work is I'm just going to pull up on screen. I have the AFC and NFC North here today, and I have them in what they call alphabetical order, so I'm not going to do this in any particular divisional order. So I just put them in alphabetical order. We're going to go through it, and I'm just going to give my insights of thought, and I'm going to give you in either A, B plus, B, C, sorry, A, B plus, B minus, C, D plus, D minus, or F. So 7 little different grades, and eventually we'll recap them at the end of all this. But we'll give my initial thoughts. Ravens, initial thoughts right away is that they're definitely above average. They definitely had an above average draft. They really didn't have as many needs. As you see, O-line and wide receiver, I think a lot of these are pretty accurate, by the way, just based on like their analysis here, so it's nice reading all of these, but definitely offensive line and receiver need for the Ravens, because they really need to boost up their core there. But in the end of the first round, I don't hate the Nate Wiggins pick. It's a risky pick, but I like risk, so I think it's a good pick up there. Round 2, they picked up Rogers Garten, good offensive tackle. They're in depth there, which they need. That's probably one of the biggest needs they have, especially with Derrick Henry coming on board. They need to kind of utilize him and protect Lamar as much as possible. Pick up a couple good value players in the middle here. Another real rookie running back with a Rasheem Ali. Otherwise, nothing too much to pick. I'm going to personally give him a B minus, but I know some people really like Nate Wiggins. I don't think they did anything bad. I don't think they did anything spectacular. I just think they got good value. They were. They did what they needed to do. Simple as that. The only slight critique I'll give them is that they could have picked up, receiver maybe a little bit earlier than pick 4. I'm not too sure how good Walker will be, but that's only my small critique there. Ravens, you get a B minus. Simple as that. Moving on to the Chicago Bears, who I think it's hard to mess up the draft they had. They have 5 picks, I think roughly 4 or 5 picks. They needed a quarterback, they needed a wide receiver, and they picked up those needs. And outside of that, I know it says O lineman and D lineman, and sure, I guess they kind of needed that. The Bears kind of needed a lot of stuff, especially on offense. But once they got the quarterback and receiver, they didn't really need much outside of that. The offensive line, I think, is healthy enough, good enough. Defensive line's already still pretty beefed up from free agency and re-signings of last year. I want to give them an A. The only reason I'm going to give them a B plus is purely because they only have 5 picks. Literally, granted, when you have 2 picks in 2 rounds and they're both in the top 10, that's pretty dang good. But I'm not too sure if I like them kind of going. I don't know. It felt lackluster after round 1 for them, obviously, because they have 5 picks. Something feels missing, but I don't want to give this just an A, because I think there's a lot of other quality teams that had a lot more to work with and made a lot more use of it. But the Bears, I would not blame anybody for putting A. I'm personally going to put them at B plus, just because, again, with so little picks, I feel like it's hard to mess that up, if that makes sense. And they got what they needed. The first 3 rounds, I think, were pretty much perfect for what they needed. Punter, sure, whatever. Cool. Tory Taylor, I don't know much about him, to be honest with you. I'm not going to put that against him or anything. And Austin Booker in round 5, pick 9, pretty decent pick as well. But they just don't have a lot of depth added from rookie side. So B plus is what I'm going, purely because they didn't have a lot to work with. Cincinnati Bengals are up next, and this is a weird one, just because their team is in such a weird spot with T. Higgins possibly being gone, a needed tight end position. Their O-line still just not what it needs to be. The D-line's getting weaker. The secondary's not very good. The Bengals have a lot of different needs to fill, and I feel like they kind of address everything a little bit, but I'm not especially happy about any of it. But that's also honestly just because they didn't have the best picks to work with. They have mid-round picks all across the board, and it's hard finding really good players. I like Mims. Mims is a good pick, and I love Chris Jenkins. I think he fell a little bit. And Jermaine Burton, from everything I've saw, he's a good value pick. All of these are great values. It just feels like they have a lot of different things to hit, but they got a lot of great value here, got a lot of depth. That's why I'm personally going to give them a B+. I know some people maybe think that's a little high, but I think they got a lot of depth, a lot of good quality players from where the positions where they drafted smart, didn't draft flashy. And this is kind of like, looking at this makes me feel like the Bears probably should get that A, just because the Bengals, they did fine. It was good. They got a lot of good quality stuff. I feel like they got great value, and they had a lot to work with. So B+ there. And I'm actually going to retroactively fix my Bears pick. They did what they needed to do. They fixed all the holes they needed to. I'm giving the Bears an A. Let that be known. I think this, looking at the Bengals here, made me think I need to respect the Bears draft a little bit more, because they did what they needed to. Nothing more, nothing less. A is worthy of that. So Bengals, I think you had a good quality pick. Let's go B+ for you. Browns, offensive line, linebacker, D-line, wide receiver, tight end. Sure. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't think the Bears or the Browns needed that much. Maybe more on the offensive side of things. Offensive line need a little bit more help, and I think you did need another weapon or two, tight end or wide receiver wise. Take that as you will. I think their defense is pretty all right. I think they could get by without adding too much to their defense. Beside the point, again, they didn't have a first-round pick, so it's hard to work with whatever. So I really don't think they got a whole lot of great players, though. I think a lot of these guys are risks. I don't know. Picking up a Louisville receiver seems a little risky there. Zach Zinter does seem like a pretty damn good guard, so that's probably their best pick in terms of quality. Mike Hall Jr., sure. I don't know enough about the Ohio State guy, but he seems like a good enough pick. None of this seems great, though. It makes me want to go D+. I feel like they just didn't do what they needed to do. Again, it's mostly because they didn't have that first-round pick, but they didn't do any awful picks here either. So I'm going to go D+ for the Browns. Again, it's hard when you don't have a first-rounder, but also you made some riskier picks here with Jeremy Flash, Nathaniel Watson, and Mike Hall Jr., in my opinion. Again, I don't know enough about these round 7 guys, to be honest with you, and I barely know enough about these guys. But from all my very limited research, feels like they just went a little bit riskier. Could go D-, thought about D-, and actually retroactively going D-, just because, again, when I'm comparing to other drafts in this year's, I just can't give the Browns too much credit here. And moving on to the Lions here. Again, team that didn't need to do a whole lot. Offensive line, I still think is healthy. Even though it says top needs, I still think they're doing pretty good. What they really need to do is find maybe another receiver and really improve that secondary. And you damn sure bet they fixed their fucking secondary. Holy moly. 2 good quality picks. I love Terry Arnold. I think he's a very quality, good one from Alabama. It's hard to go wrong with Alabama there. And Ennis Rakestraw Jr. seems like everything I've seen from him. Seems like a quality guy. Offensive line, offensive tackle guy. Good quality in round 4. Didn't even realize they didn't have a round 3 pick, which is really good quality. Like adding some more running backs, whatever. And that, honestly, it's just later round picks where they didn't have a whole lot of, random picks near the end. That sucks. But I'm going to give them the B+. I thought about the A, but again, they just don't have a whole lot to work with. They did the secondary, but I don't know if they really get that offensive weapon. I know they have Amon-Ra, but outside of that, who do they have going into this next season? It's just going to be a little bit more difficult for the Lions here, but B+, still very good quality draft. Respect them a lot. Going into the Packers now, I know it's going to give me some hate. They need a lot of, not a lot of needs. I think their offense is pretty damn good, but I think they need secondary, linebacker, D-line. And they kind of addressed it. Edrin Cooper, I heard, is kind of good, but I don't like him from everything I saw. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of any of the picks they really did here. Like, I don't make sense of it in terms of their overall good quality picks. Obviously, I don't know anything about probably these guys, so I'm not really going to judge them too much on those. But, like, I just don't think they addressed anything they needed. Offensive line, sure, I guess he got rid of Bakhtiari, so you needed Jordan Morgan. But was he really your best choice? I don't know. With a draft full of great alignment, man, I just feel like this was a very underwhelming alignment pick. Edrin Cooper, he's making me feel like I should go D- instead of F. But honestly, I think the Packers had one of the worst drafts, but I'm going to give them the D-. They're right there with the Browns. I think that's fine. We'll go there. Other than that, I really have nothing really much to say about the Packers. I feel like there was just safe-ish picks, but I don't think they were even really safe. I thought they were a little risky. Beside the point, hate me if you want to. I'm going to go D- for the Packers here. Meanwhile, you got the Minnesota Vikings. Oh my gosh, yeah, this might be actually the worst draft. I'm sorry. You can say whatever. You can critique Bo Nix all you want for the Denver Broncos. I'll respect it. J.J. McCarthy is 100% the worst quarterback in this top 6 draft. You can say anything you want about the other ones, but I think J.J. McCarthy is probably the worst. This could be an awful take I have. Could be 100% not going to discredit it, but I hate J.J. McCarthy at this pick for the Vikings. I know they needed one, but was J.J. McCarthy really their best pick? I guess between Bo Nix and J.J. McCarthy, I guess you can just flip a coin if you want to, but still, I don't like it. Dallas Turner, edge, that was a good pick, which is making me want to go D- just because they have one good quality pick. Everything else is fine, so I'm going to give them D-, but that J.J. McCarthy pick, I think, brings them down quite a bit. I think they should have made a move to trade up. I'm sure, I don't know why the Falcons did what they did. We'll talk about them in a future video, but I feel like there was open room there to trade up a couple picks just to, like, get a better quality. Michael Penix, I think, would have been perfect for the Vikings here. Beside the point, I mean, otherwise, I don't love or know many of these other players, so I'm going to go D- for the Vikings. Also, probably one of the worst drafts in this one. But on the other controversial side, on the other side of things, Pittsburgh Steelers probably had one of, if not the best draft. Honestly, going into this, I didn't think much of the Steelers drafts because I was like, okay, they always do like pretty safe picks. They didn't really go any flashy. But really, this year, I mean, they need to go balls to the walls to get something. I mean, they need to boost up their D-line again. Their secondary needs a little bit of help. Offensive line, probably a weapon or two, be great. And man, it feels like they did everything they needed to. Their offensive line really was probably the biggest focus point. Immediately addressed it. Roman Wilson in a great wide receiver draft in round 3, pretty damn good. Peyton Wilson, again, didn't think he was a good quality first round or second round pick, but the fact that he fell to the 3rd round, I don't hate that. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. Either way, that's kind of my opinion there, I guess. Then you got Mason McCormick, again, another good card from actually a name that I recognize actually, and Logan Lee. Looked at a little bit of his stuff, looks fine enough. I gotta give them an A. I feel like they hit the ball out of the park with their 4 picks, the top 4 picks here, and I think that they made good picks down here from everything I saw. I don't know anything about Ryan Watts, but sure. But they didn't address everything, but they damn sure got close. And Steelers, I gotta give you an A. You're probably one of the best drafts in this season, and I hate saying that since you have Russell Wilson. If you do good, I will probably cry because we gave you Russell Wilson for free. Oh, size and Denver Broncos. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Here's a little recap of both my things. I probably did it throughout the video or whatever, but here's a recap of all my draft grades for both these conferences. Please let me know any suggestions down below for anything for future videos. You'll be seeing these come out pretty frequently here in the next couple of days. Hope you guys enjoyed. StraightA Dawson is out of here. See you guys later.